place in the round of 32 up for grabs. It's Ronnie O'Sullivan against Michael White. Neil Foles alongside me for this one, and a packed house, Neil, for what promises to be a great evening of snooker all round.
I mean, the atmosphere was very good yesterday with O'Sullivan in town. It's going to be even better, pulsating atmosphere, no doubt, here this evening. And not an easy match, I don't think. I mean, yes, Michael White, his record against O'Sullivan is something he wouldn't want to be thinking about. He's never beaten him before, but at his best, you know, he's a ranking tournament winner. Very good player who's had his ups and downs. But on this sort of stage, it'd be nice to think he could play well. If he does, he can win.
Well, that's an encouraging start. Terrific long red off O'Sullivan's break-off. White, courtesy of a victory over Hayden Penny, has set up this crack at O'Sullivan, who also had to play his qualifier unusually in Barnsley back in January, coming through against Alfie Burden 5-3. But as we know, O'Sullivan always talks up his trips to China. He loves playing here. They certainly look after him. And he, in turn, loves to entertain. And of course, he's already won the Shanghai Masters this season, the big invitational, which he's monopolised down the years. He's now won it 5 times, 4 in a row. One of 5 titles that he's claimed this season, including the recent big invitational in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, he played not a very good shot on the yellow. He got into the cue ball too much and didn't land on the red to the right of the bunch, which is what he played. So I think the conditions did for him there, having, of course, as you pointed out, not played his match here in Yushan, his opening match in qualifiers, pre-event. The conditions have been good. The breaks have been flowing. The pockets are not tight. Although not big enough for that to go in. To be honest, he missed it by far enough. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how O'Sullivan plays here. I mean, I guess he is potentially more vulnerable in these early rounds than he might be later in the draw.
1.
Yeah, I mentioned O'Sullivan potentially vulnerable early. Of course, any player would feel that way. Before the pandemic, I remember O'Sullivan came here to Yushan with high hopes. And our good friend Dominic Dow hadn't quite read the script, knocked him out in the opening match. So it's not always plain sailing with O'Sullivan, but very often he gets the last laugh. Again, into the cue ball too much. He played twice across, but he almost screwed it rather than stunned it over. And now he's a little straight on this.
12.
The winner of this match will play Lu Hao Shan, who came from 2 down with 3 to play earlier in quite a long match with Aaron Hill, the Irish professional, to win 5-4.
Played that well, but he's lost the cue ball a bit. He needs a bit of luck down the table. The red by the green is covered by the green, so that's not an option. Never quite got into position there. He's been in twice now, Michael White, and he's only accumulated 22 points. Yeah, that match in 2019 where Dominic Dale beat Ronnie O'Sullivan and knocked him out early, but not too many players have beaten him this season, albeit Liu Hushan, as Philip pointed out, awaits the winner, has done so. So you don't really look at the draw and think that any player is a good thing to progress that far, because, as we've seen, that there's quite a lot of strength in depth at this stage on the tour. Mark Allen will be living proof of that, having been knocked out by Daniel Wells, who hadn't been doing much yesterday. Not a great match, but a good win for the Welshman. I think a lot of it with O'Sullivan is A, how he plays, and if he plays at his best, he's almost unbeatable. And B, if he doesn't play at his best, does his opponent believe he can beat him? And sometimes the answer to both of those is yes to O'Sullivan playing well and no to the latter.
Made the final of this event back in 2010 when he lost to Neil Robertson, who, as mentioned, is up against Tian Pengfei on table 3 this evening. He's already earned 1.1 million and change on the table so far this season, O'Sullivan, and when you consider the winner of this will pick up 170,000, there's 200,000 up for grabs at the upcoming Tour Championship in Manchester, and then of course $500,000 at the Crucible, so could be a record-shattering season in that regard for O'Sullivan if he goes deep in the remaining events.
15.
Yeah, even O'Sullivan has overstunned that. He played further through onto the black, so now he's got slightly awkward queuing. If there is movement on the other tables, O'Sullivan will find it from spectators, because Mark Allen had a torrid time yesterday. And already Ronnie has seen about 4 pockets of people standing around, apart from the pockets on the table. I think what happened yesterday is that Mark Allen's first few frames was quite poor, let's be honest, against Daniel Wells. It got better after the interval, but Ding Junhui had won his match 5-3. There'd been a maximum, and there was almost a mass walkout, wasn't there? And Mark Allen was distracted, but not everyone wanted to see that match. It was not great. As I say, it got better.
Set.
Red down the cushion, left-handed. It might be more player-friendly than some tables. This one, let's see if this goes in. Well, that's never dropping.
Ronnie O'Sullivan. Set.
So a slightly unsettling start for both players. They've both had chances and not taken them. Still all to play for in frame 1.
All 8 tables once again in use this evening. One of the many eye-catching matches of this session features He Guo Zhang, who's really impressed in his maiden professional season, against Wang Jimbo, who beat his 13-year-old brother in the pre-qualifier here in Yushan, and then repeated the trick against Matthew Selt from 4-3 behind, made a century in the decider against Selt. He's only 16 himself, so that's a match that will generate a lot of local interest.
Yes, I'm hearing lots of good reports about him, the 16-year-old. And the results back that up. I mean, to play twice in a day is tough, just to get yourself ready for the second match, but he played brilliantly against Matt Selt. So another one to just keep a close eye on as a player. No doubt his brother at 13 has got a future ahead of him in the game as well. because it's not easy. We don't know which players from anywhere in the world are going to come through. I was delighted to see Jackson Page win. Nothing against John Higgins, but he's another player that's very talented. It just takes a while to reach the level, and he got a good win against John Higgins, as you said earlier, Philip. It was very, very welcoming for the Welsh.
Yes, and congratulations too to Jackson's compatriot Liam Davis, who has finally secured his professional status for the first time in winning the European Under-21 title in Sarajevo. He beat Anton Kowalski 5-3, having just missed out in the Q Tour playoffs to Dwayne Jones in a decider. So that's a terrific win for him and a well-earned professional card. 2 years, of course, he'll have from the start of next season. Practices with the great Mark Williams. Very likeable fellow. Pretty scratchy opening frame, this.
It is. No, I'm delighted for Liam Davison. As you say, I agree with everything you said. Congratulations to him. It feels a long time coming, and yet he's such a youngster. But he's a big future in the game, Liam Davis.
Yeah, of course, he became the youngest winner of a World Championship match, didn't he, when he beat the aforementioned Aaron Hill when he was just 15 at the time in qualifying a couple of years ago in Sheffield. Who's going to get a grip on this opening frame then? O'Sullivan got in with 30 just now, missed the red along the rail by quite a margin. Just feeling his way into this match, his first one here at the venue, as we've mentioned.
It's good red that O'Sullivan potted there. The cue ball didn't quite travel out of bolt very well. That was also well played, so maybe O'Sullivan now has got that chance to get a grip on this frame. There's not that much intensity in the early exchanges. Not yet, anyway.
4.
He's already clinched record-extending UK and Masters victories this season, of course. He's won both of those 8 times now. He's eyeing repeating that trick at the Crucible in just a few weeks' time. And you've got to say,
11.
based on everything we've seen this season, he's the man to beat. Handily beat Judd Trump, who was completely out of sorts in that semi-final at the Riyadh Season World Masters of Snooker. He's now beaten Trump in his last 5 outings, so as brilliant as Trump has been for most of this season, with 4 ranking titles to his name, you've got to think that Ronnie's the man to beat again in a month's time at the Crucible.
17.
So, again, a red down the cushion.
24.
Probably left-handed again as well, like the one he missed earlier, but a different sort of a shot. So now Sullivan on the brink of getting this first frame won, a scrappy frame.
With the form that O'Sullivan's shown this season, you feel he can afford the odd error here and there before he hits his stride. But for Michael White, who's had a couple of chances in this frame, he's going to have to take almost all of his if he's to cause the upset today. He's not been able to in this first frame.
Well, the problem is it can be quite intimidating playing O'Sullivan, and that's not a new thing either. It's not a lot different to when he was 16 years of age turning professional, because such a sort of amount of skill that he's got. He was a precocious talent then, and he's just a prolific winner now. But there's something about playing him that is unnerving unless you're at your best. And that's down to him.
24.
Now in his 49th year, of course. That's the most remarkable thing, that
49.
even knocking on the door of 50. There's no sign of the dimming of Ronnie O'Sullivan's extraordinary talent. On the contrary, playing as well as ever right now. And he's cleared the table after a slightly indifferent start. The crowd enjoying that break from Ronnie O'Sullivan. A couple of good pots early in the break in particular to seal the deal and move 1-0 to the good here in Yushan.